Tom, you're good.
Awesome, everyone. Welcome to Tuesdays at 2. Obviously, Tom Bellhouse in pinch hitting for Jeff Livson and Jason Blewett. It's that time of the NFL season. You get a little further down the depth charts, and you kind of find some hidden gems. So I'm hoping I can do them proud today as we have another example of our Tuesdays at 2. And also filling in for his dad, Christophe Clement, is star assistant trainer Miguel Clement. Miguel, how are you?
Thank you very much for having me on. I guess we're two pinch hitters today.
Now, before we get started, Miguel just made a comment about the horse over my shoulder, and that is Twilight Eclipse winning the Grade 1 Man of War. And Miguel said we should have Parnac up, and I actually do have a beautiful picture of Parnac outside the office. So, Miguel, just not to make you feel bad, we'll just hold up the Decorated Invader winning the Grade 1 that you were kind enough to have made for me. So that's
I've got his shirt. I've got his shirt on. It's great. I've got the shirt made for the bigger stuff.
Listen, I know for those of you, Christophe Clement is over at the Fasig-Tipton sale. The weanlings and broodmares, and he's tied up over there. So Miguel was kind enough to jump in, and really this is a treat for us because Miguel is hands-on, one of the top assistant trainers in the country, and really runs the string up here in Saratoga for most of the year. Now, his dad comes up and barks at him a few times a week just to make sure he stays in line. But Miguel runs an incredibly tight ship, and the success is second to none. Before we dive into the Clement stable and the success we've had, as well as some of the newcomers, talk to me about this last 3-month run the stable's been on, almost Eclipse Award winning level of stakes runs you've been on, Miguel.
Yeah, no, it's been great. It's been great. The big horses have been winning the big races, and I suppose that's what it's all about, essentially. You won't remember races 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, really, but the race 8, 9 on the big weekends is what we really strive for, and they've been doing great, to be honest. It's been lucky.
Well, you look at. I know the Saratoga meet was a bit frustrating at the beginning for all of us. So, just trying to. You seemed like you had a lot of set, and then boom, you end up with Carson in the Saratoga Derby, Farbridge winning the Grade 1. I mean, all of a sudden, by the end of the meet, it's not all that bad when you got a few of those Grade 1 blankets out there.
No, it's been it's been okay. It's been okay. I was a bit tough maybe on the wife at first. The end of the Saratoga meet's been good. So I think we had 6 stakes victories, 3 or 4 graded, 2 Grade 1s. And then we kicked off right at Kentucky Downs. We didn't quite win as many at Kentucky Downs as I hoped, but they all ran first or second in big races. And it continued straight into Belmont, to be honest with you. And
we look at, the West Point team. We've had 10 stakes wins with the Clement barn this year. And I think that's an unbelievable achievement. I think that you look at the placement of the horses, there's no stone left unturned as you scour in your office. I've been with you when you scour condition books and stakes books of where's the best placement, and really the attention to detail is second to none. So, it's an exciting time of year. We're coming up to some more stakes coming up. We got the sales coming up, and we're reloading. So as we segue, let's talk about some of the yearlings we've already picked up for you guys that'll be joining the team. First and foremost, we still have some availability on an Oscar Performance colt, that we landed at Fasig-Tipton in August. Oscar Performance has been on a roll. He had a Canadian Classic winner at the end of September. And in the past weekend, I believe Chad Brown had a horse, and the winner became a stakes winner for the 3rd year in a row. So that's 2, 3, and 4 in the Knickerbocker Stakes. Just amazing. And, this particular colt is out of that unbelievable female family of J. Ray and Graded on the Curve. And Miguel, before we talk about the colt itself, what about this 3rd-year stallion class? Justified, Good Magic, Mendelssohn, City of Light, and Oscar Performance right up there with them.
No, he's major. If it wasn't for Justified, I think he'd probably be the leader. We'd all talk about Oscar Performance, to be honest with you. It's a very good sign. We had a filly just this weekend that we love, probably our best thrill filly. Actually, we got 2 or 3 good thrill fillies, to be fair. But probably one of the better ones is Style Points. by Oscar Performance as well. And I thought she was given a horrendous ride in the Sands Points. So he probably should have had a great stakes winner as well. He's a major sign. He's very, very good. And this is a no-brainer. He actually made our short list. I don't know why we didn't buy it in the end. Probably because dad was cheap or something. That's okay. And we like it. We like it. It's a no-brainer. Street Cries is superb, damn sire. We know the whole Street Cry line. You can't beat that. Darshan European. I won't lie to you. This is probably 99.8% chance it's going to be turf. But I mean, that's okay. He's a major stallion. It's a major pedigree. And it's a no-brainer, to be honest with you.
Well, you look at Reys. She was top class mare, graded on the curve, is a hard-knocking New York horse that was with Klaravich for a number of years here in New York. So the fact that we are, here he is down in Ocala already, going through the paces. I mean, there's just so much to like. And quite honestly, we bought a bunch of New York bred yearlings, and I have I had a conversation with somebody. There's one of our partners, Leach. We were talking. There's absolutely no reason why I can explain to you why we have availability left on this one and not on some of the others. So it's an exciting horse, and yet another chance to have a New York bred, especially after meeting with Andrew Offerman of Naira this morning, who was out at the Oklahoma track, as we talked about the new facility coming in and the brand new turf courses and synthetic courses we will have at the new Belmont in years to come. So just a really exciting horse, and one I can't wait to see in your barn next summer there, Miguel.
No, I agree. Actually, to be honest, I went through all the hips that we bought quickly when you told me about that, saying there was still availability, which surprised me. And I looked at Dad's notes on his catalog, and I mean, he's not the best penmanship, but he just wrote one word for that horse. He wrote nice. So I don't know why we didn't buy it ourselves, to be honest with you. Or
I appreciate you leaving the crumbs for us.
Yeah, but
it was very kind of you.
It's nice.
But let's talk about a couple of the other ones that we picked up at that New York bred sale. I know you were up here, obviously all summer, coming out of that with the Tacitus New York bred colt out of the mare Judiciary. He was another one that, I mean, we think of Tacitus, tap it out of closed hatches. I mean, Tacitus has the right to be a super stallion with that pedigree. And, his first crop, we ended up buying two. We bought one at the New York bred sale, this guy, and we bought one at the Keeneland sale. So your thoughts on Tacitus? You got to see him up close and personal with Bill Mott being next door to you.
Yeah, it's exciting. Good looking colt. Tacitus first year sire. And there's plenty of quality about him. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, some of these sons of Tap It has to hit. Question is which one, tone list. There's plenty of quality about it. And he's not the only one. There's been several Tacitus that sold quite well, to be honest with you.
Right.
So maybe we're on the right sign.
No, absolutely. Now, moving on to Keeneland September, we picked up a Complexity colt, and you're obviously very familiar with Complexity.
Well, not as familiar with Complexity as I'd like to be, but we're familiar with this one. This is a half to Spirit Prince. So Spirit Prince is a nice 3-year-old we have, who was a bit unlucky, who's got like 6 black type performances, broke his maiden in the stakes. We love the brother, and Dad liked him a lot. This is a stronger, better physical than the brother, to be honest. And he's by Complexity. The brother is by Cara Prince. There's just too much. That was too obvious. And they don't raise them like with their pretty horses, if that makes sense. They're a bit rough, the Airdrie horses, and that's in a good sense. They're raised rough but tough. And it was a no-brainer. Dad went for it.
Yeah, I think when you look at Airdrie stud in general has been an outfit. The late Governor Jones and his son Brett Jones. I mean, they support stallions. They support them with their mares, and Complexity's got a chance to be a household name in the next couple of years. And you saw it at Saratoga this summer with a couple of his runners. Moving on to the Charlatan filly that we bought. This family I know you know well. This is a half to our Gallon of Rush out of the first year stallion Charlatan, excuse me.
Yeah, correct. Listen, it's a big pedigree update. Obviously, the filly keep doing more, and hopefully she'll do, bigger and better things for us in the future as well. And also first year sire, so that's the big $1 million mystery question mark. But it's a no-brainer. The sister we like, it's major, and what more can you have,
Well, and this isn't a chance for us, being the plan is to run Gallon of Rush next year, that pedigree page just gets better and better. And that's something that, when you have a little bit of inside information on the half siblings, or you have them, it gives you a confidence that you know what that female family can produce. Another horse that we got involved with, the last one that we got involved with out of Keeneland, was an Ontario-bred Macleans Music.
So actually, this one I did know a little bit about, to be honest. The breeders are good owners of ours that breed a lot of good horses from Canada, and they never sell as well as they should because they're raised in Canada. It's a bit rough, and they're not as well prepped, without being rude, as if you were someone based in Kentucky. And they come to the sales also looking a bit rough and tough.
What do they call that? They call that farm fresh, right?
I don't know what they call it, but I'm okay with it. So they're more affordable. I like that. They're more affordable, and usually they're a bit tougher and better, to be honest with you. And it's like the old Claiborne type of approach, to be honest. And this was too, it's a no-brainer. So if you look at the pedigree, there's plenty of big black type, big pedigrees. And for some reason, their horses are not as commercial as they should be, which is great for us if you're buying. So when that opportunity came about, we snatched it up very quickly, and no-brainer.
Well, and actually, I mean, when you're located up in Saratoga, starting in May, you've got it down to a science shipping over to Woodbine, and there's that Ontario stakes program is awesome. So I mean, that'd be something that hopefully we'd love to see our guy break his maiden maybe at Saratoga and then go clean up on Ontario bred stakes or vice versa.
Yeah, no, plus we all know very well that you know your way on how to get to the Woodbine. So I mean, you've been quite successful going there. So I guess we have to keep the trend with someone.
But we kind of broke our string with the summer stakes this year. We had to let somebody else go up and win it and get the win in your end. But I think there's a rule, like if you win it too many years in a row, you give up your citizenship or something. But it's been a great run. Hey, before we dive into all the existing horses, let's just take a couple of key points and talk about Revolutionnaire. Do you see him as a colt who will fit into the 3-year-old stakes program a la Carson run? And when do you think we'll have a plan for shipping, Miguel?
So shipping, actually, I could answer that question in 3 seconds because I was asked what day, and I should know it. I'm pretty sure that he comes in on at the end of the month. I could be wrong, but I'm not usually wrong. And I've got a lot of emails about this horse. Whenever you buy one from abroad, you have hundreds of questions and hundreds of statements and everything. But so this is the line of thinking. Actually, I got it from Chuck Santorelli just now. We said yes, send the horse for me at Payson, and I think this is the horse that yes, it is, because of Revolutionnaire. We have to open Payson on October 29th because that's the day scheduled because of Florida. And usually I wait to open Payson until like November 3rd or 4th, which is Breeders' Cup time. But because of this bad boy, we decided to send him straight to Florida so it doesn't get cold. I think Payson's the greatest racetrack, I think, in the country to settle a horse from Europe to America. It's the perfect transition. It's an American track. It's American everything base, private training center. So it's the perfect leadway to a racetrack. They go from training in Europe, France, which is completely different, no racetrack settings, anything, fields, trails, and everything, to basically a field trail setting, but there's actual racetrack there, but like nothing else. Beautiful training center. And there's a reason why we have a lot of success with our European base when they come from Payson. They need to go to Payson. I think it's the greatest strip. Very, very few horses do well for us when they go straight to our outfit in New York. They do better when we have the winter in Florida to bring them to our system, our way, the American way, without too much of a stressful situation. And don't get me wrong, Reys was an exception. She's very good. And we have 3 or 4 exceptions. But usually the winning angle for us is to go to Payson. We did that with Atomic Blonde. We did that with Parnac. We do that with all the time. And then in terms of what type of races can we run him in, I don't think he's like Carson's run because I think he's more of a miler type. I think he's got a lot of speed. Whereas Carson's run, for some reason, don't ask me why, wants to go nearly a mile and a half, which doesn't make sense even to the state. But I mean, this guy's got an explosive turn of foot. He reminds me, truthfully, of Reys 2.0. They're both by Penny's Picnic. They both have an explosive turn of foot. Forget the fact that they're both grays, they're stocky built and everything, and medium sized. I'd be very disappointed if it's not like Reys. Explosive turn of foot. He's everything you want. Usually in France, they crawl pace wise, slow, sprint at the end. He really comes home. And the reason why we bought him is because his last 2 races, if you look at the sectionals, he came home very quick. That's what you love to see, is a devastating turn of foot. Because in America, if you get fast pace and you have a great turn of foot, I mean, that's usually what you need to win these races on the grass.
Awesome. Well, it's an exciting horse, and thanks to all the partners who jumped in on him. I mean, it was really like 2 days that we were able to sell them out. Let's move on to the horses that are in the barn, Miguel, and starting with our stakes winning mare, Atomic Blonde, who captured the Curtana at Churchill Downs in May, and is going to be back this weekend at the Dowager at Keeneland. That'll be 1.5 miles on the grass. And this is probably going to be her swan song as she's entered in the November sale in the first week of November. If we could only guarantee some pace, this filly just loves to close, doesn't she, Miguel?
Yeah, so let's talk about it's twofold. The first is that the filly's training great. She looks very well. Dad's delighted. We're very excited for her. She's amazingly consistent as long as the bleeding doesn't take place, and which we've been able to manage it quite well for the most part. And she's doing very well. So that's the first part. That's the positive. And she loves 1.5 miles. Tyler Gaffleon knows her quite well. I think it's the only time she ever won in the States was with Tyler Gaffleon.
Correct.
And even though she keeps running all these big black type performances in grade 6. And then the negative is I think it's a paceless race on paper, and we're poorly drawn. I think 11 of 12. So there's not much you can control. Every time you try to change a horse's running style, it never works for us. So we just wait at the back, come with a late run. It's not ideal. But you're A, poorly drawn, B, don't want to change too much your running style, and the third reason really is with the bleeding. I don't think you want to be too aggressive early. So just pray that for some stupid reason someone goes unexpectedly and they can just spread out the field. And he needs to give us a good trip. I think we put Tyler a little bit in the penalty box with some of the mounts this recently. He needs a good trip. I mean, we're gonna put a little pressure on that one. She's doing well. She needs a good trip.
But moving on to our dream horse, arguably the best 3-year-old turf course in the country, Carson's Run. And I know we're biased. If you were to judge just by the credentials, he's a 2-time Grade 1 winner, 4 stakes wins in all, and that includes his triumph 2 weeks back in the $500,000 Jockey Club Derby at Aqueduct. Pretty heady stuff, huh?
Yeah, no, it's not being biased. It's a fact. He's the best 3-year-old on the grass in the country. That's not like a question mark or anything. That's a proven fact.
It's been a magical year on top of what was a magical run last year. Talking with your dad this morning and it sounds like he's come out of the race in good form. And if everything stays on course for the next 3-4 weeks, we'll think about pointing towards the Hollywood Derby on the end of November, right after Thanksgiving, and hopefully put another Grade 1 in the bank and put a bow on this great year.
Yeah, no, that'd be a special way to the end of the year. He's been awesome. I don't know why he's able to switch off. He does everything he wants. He's fantastic. If you ask me, what was the best horse we ever trained for West Point, I always thought it was Decorated Invader, if you ask me truthfully. And with this guy, with the CV he keeps providing, he's doing things that not even Decorated Invader, who we all loved, was able to do. He's winning multiple Grade 1s. He's a win streak, and he's probably the best one we ever trained for West Point, to be honest. Just look at the CV; it speaks for itself. And he's
it really is.
And he's the best drill in the country.
You're looking at $1.57 million in earnings, 9 starts, 5 wins, 2 seconds. I mean, just spectacular. And I think this to me is, and I've heard me say it on a lot of calls, this is the dream horse. This is the horse that we bought at OBS for $170,000, a regally bred son of Cupid out of a Henny used mare. So that just screams turf to us, but not. I mean, we thought we were buying a dirt distance horse or probably a sprinter. And I mean, he's exceeded every expectation we could possibly have. So onward and upward, and just thank you to all the partners. It's been an amazing ride with him. And we had a tremendous turnout for the last race at Aqueduct. We had probably about 14 partners and about 40 guests total for that winner's circle photo, and they were legit. That was all partners on the horse. It was great. Moving on to another horse that's been a superstar for us this year, three times stakes in 24, and that's Don't Look Back at All. We're so used to seeing her fire consistently, and I think that's what made Sunday's race so surprising. She got away a step or two slowly, and and never really recovered in the Grade 2 Franklin. And that was the first time in her whole career she ever finished outside the top 4. You know, Miguel, talking with you and your dad this morning, I mean, what's your take on the Franklin? And it's still early in the process, but how does she look after the race? Then she got back to Belmont today.
All right, so the Franklin was a bad day. So we talked about all the good success we had the last 60 days and 90 days with all these greatest stakes. The Franklin was a bad day. I think I pouted. I think Dad pouted. I think we pouted. I'm a little less mature than him, so I probably pouted like well into the night. Because the Roses for Deborah ran from here, ran pitiful, and then Dontlookbackatall from Belmont ran pitiful, and Dad was very upset because she was training great. She looked well, and he was so upset he brought her right back to Belmont and wanted to see her himself. And so he's going tonight after the sales. He goes to Belmont. She was sound this morning. She had a little cut right hind, but very sound. She did no running at any stage of the race, which is very much unlike her. Now, we're further back than we would have liked. The instructions would be like second or third. Probably Paco's Phil is going to go in front and use her just like she did with the Caress. Track them as long as you can. We were nowhere within tracking distance. We were at the far back, which was far from ideal. She's amazingly consistent. She's easy to train. She looks tremendous. You know, all year long, except for this last race, she's been improving every step. You know, we started the year where she ran a very good second at Gulfstream. She came back, she won the stakes in New York. We decided to take the bit of the conservative route to win the stakes at Parks. Wheel her back at the Caress, and then she was second in the race at Kentucky Downs, which she actually every start was like an improving start, and they were very good races. I still don't understand how we got beat at Kentucky Downs. The filly beat us to the date. I don't know what happened there because that filly ran like I've never seen a horse run in a long time.
I mean, you have to admit the Caress was probably one of the most exciting races of the summer.
Without a doubt. I mean, if you look at the fillies and the Caress, just pause it for a second there in that background, you'll see Futures Now we're ahead of. If you look at all the fillies right next to us, they were a lot of these horses that we were running with at Keeneland. So it makes no sense. That's our form. That's our line. That's why it's so disappointing. And she looked well and she was training very well. So was it just the start? We're too far back. He missed it for some reason and she was uncomfortable at the back. I don't know. It's a little too easy for me to just blame it on that. Nevertheless, she's very sound. It's not like a soundness issue, and she was training great. So maybe it's the end of a long year. I hope maybe that's the reason. Is it just the start? I don't know. I'm a little confused. Someone wants to ask me, do you think it's the turf course she didn't handle it? I said, why wouldn't she? She handled the Gulfstream turf course, which was not really a turf course. She handled the Parks turf course, which is definitely not a turf course. She handled the Saratoga turf course. She handled why would she handle all turf courses thrown to her, which it's not like a similarity. I mean, she's handled all surfaces and turf courses and everything and wouldn't handle the Keeneland one. So that was a very puzzling, especially for a filly so consistent. Anyway, fix it, bring her back next year, reassess. Do we go once more this year or pull the plug? But she's very good. She's very talented. She keeps improving, and she will be a greatest stakes filly for us next year, assuming all goes well. But she's very good. Look at what this started this year. We started the year. Look at how we ended the year last year. She was on the upward trajectory, and then this year, for a long duration of the year, she was dominating the stakes. I mean, if she improves from what she did from 3 to 4 to 4 to 5, I mean, she's major. It's going to be very exciting, filly. I don't know. She's been like the big excitement and surprise of the year for me. Was Dontlookbackatall and how she was able to elevate it to another level.
We'll see over the next few weeks, and we'll just monitor and we'll revisit on if we're gonna race one more time this year or we'll put her away for her campaign next year. Let's move on to another graded stakes winner this season. That's Gallant Rush, who triumphed in the Grade 3 Hendry Stakes at Woodbine this summer, and most recently was third in the Grade 2 Presque Isle Masters. She's really come into her own as a 5-year-old, and that's saying something, considered she was a stakes horse at 2, 3, and 4. She's been better than ever, and we still have the possibility of running her at least once more at the end of the year. There's a Grade 3 penciled in on November 9th at Woodbine, and then also in December, a $250,000 race at Turfway. So, I mean, looking forward, Miguel, I mean, does it look like in your mind that she has more in the tank this fall and beyond?
So had we were going to sell her in November, I would have made one more squeeze and run her last weekend at Woodbine in the greatest stakes. The more you do with her, the better she takes it. But knowing that we're going to be able to be fortunate enough to maybe run her next season, maybe we're not too tough on her because as foolish as it sounds, usually horses don't improve from 4 to 5 as much as she did. I think her figures as a 5-year-old is different class than her figures as a 4-year-old. As a 4-year-old, we're running a lot in the allowances, you know, and we were very upset at Kentucky Downs. I don't know if you recall. I think we did this, conference call this time last year, and we were all very upset after, Kentucky Downs. She was scratched, this, that, the other. We thought she was perfectly fine and sound. This year, I'm maybe biased because Gallon Rush has always been her entire time with me, and Dad takes Don't Look Back at All with him at all times, to be honest. So maybe I'm biased, but I love Gallon Rush. I know we got beat with license fee by the stablemate. She came back in the Intercontinental. She was the only filly to make up ground in the Grade 2. And then she stamped herself as a true Greatest Stakes filly by winning the Greatest Stakes in Canada. Horrendous ride the next start, I thought, in my opinion, at least in the Seaway Stakes. And then she get placed in the Prescott Masters. These are like 4 major Greatest Stakes. There's no reason why she can't do the same next year, more Greatest Stakes action, get more Greatest Stakes black type. And, Rose is out of the division. She's being sold. There's 2 or 3 very good sprinters out of the division. It's basically the division's up for grabs. She's very good in Canada. There's several big Greatest Stakes, in Canada as well. It's for me, you bring them back between Don't Look Back at All and Gallon Rush. You have a strong grasp on the division, and you have to go for it. They're both running at the peak of their career. They're both running in Greatest Stakes consistently, first, second, third in Greatest Stakes. You can't avoid it. You have to go for it because I think, oddly enough, I think she might even be a better 6-year-old than she was 5-year-old. I mean, if you believe in the figures, she's been amazingly good for us this season. And I don't think you can say the same like last season, where do you think she's a Greatest Stakes filly last year? I'm not 100% sure I was convinced. And this year, she's more than impressed all of us. She's very sound.
Well, and the horse that, obviously Roses for Deborah doesn't need any introduction, but the horse that ran second to us in the Masters with Gal came back and run a huge race against Don't Look Back at All on over the weekend. So, I mean, that race gave it even more credibility, knowing that, we've obviously had a huge amount of respect for Roses for Deborah, but the second place finisher comes back and runs against the top of the division and just got nailed for a second by the Star Mystery.
Plus, they're 2 different running styles, and as foolish as it sounds, it might be beneficial. In a sprint race, as we saw at Aqueduct, you have 1 4-day place. So if they go a bit on the steady side, you have Don't Look Back at All in the front, and you have Gallon Rush is going to be at the back. Even if she's been breaking out of the gates a little bit quicker than we would have liked, in theory, you'd like to have Gallon Rush in the back. Don't look back at all 40 place. It gives you a nice little 1-2 punch in some of these stakes. That's a no-brainer. They're gonna be fun fillies for next year.
So let's talk about move on to Kertez. Kertez is a French import who, in his very first start in America, won the Grade 2 Pan American Stakes at Gulfstream by a nose under a phenomenal Joel Rosario ride. This summer, he had a little bit of a tendon lesion that we're treating down at Bridlewood in Ocala. And it's a long road, but reports have been positive so far. Miguel, you guys have had some success bringing horses back from this kind of issue, especially rehabbing at Bridlewood.
Yeah, so in the replay you're showing, he's going to beat a good bunch. I know people thought at the time was not that good of a race, but the field actually is okay. If you look at the rail, that's Tawny Port, who just missed, the United Nations by a head, who just missed that $2 million race at Kentucky Downs. I mean, he beat a good bunch. He beat him fair and square that day. And Dad's always been obsessed by Kertez. He tried to buy him as a 3-year-old. They wanted like upwards of $1 million. He tried again as a 4-year-old. They wanted crazy money as well. He tried. And then he was finally able to buy him at the end of his 5-year-old season. He went for it, and he was affordable. And he's major. In terms of bringing him back from the leg issue, it was very frustrating because he was training well. And I have it at Belmont. And listen, it's annoying. It's an older horse injury, and it's very annoying. It's lengthy time-wise. But do they ever come back the same, or are you able to bring them back? I mean, Soldier Rising came back 2 consecutive years, just to give you an example. And I'm going to bring him back a 3rd time for the same sort of thing, to be honest. Sometimes these European horses, especially the turf stayers, as they get older, they're more prone to it. But as long as that's like within a certain amount of damage and you stop them in time before it gets to before you get to the point of no return, if you stop on them, you give them all the time in the world, they do come back. That's the point of the story.
Excellent. Now, Lady Mia is a filly that we bought in Europe and is stakes placed. She holds an entry in the Keeneland November sale. And at one point recently, it looked like she might not be able to make another race before the sale, but she's been sound for the last couple of weeks, and there is a race in the condition book on October 24th. Miguel, am I right in saying if that she has gone through on an, excuse me, let me start that over. You know, she's been an off and on filly for us a little bit. You know, she's shown glimpses of talent, and then she's had some soundness issues. So am I right in saying that, you know, if she's able to put one more race together, would only help us?
Yes. So she's a bit unlucky, to be honest with you, Lady Mia, because a lot of her setbacks this year was actually not her own. Overall, she was sound for us for most of the year. So we had a little soundness question mark in September, but for the most part, she was sound. The reason why we never ran her in New York is the race never went, the two other than sprinting. I don't think it's gone once this year in the New York circuit. And that was frustrating. So we shipped her a lot. We ran her in the stakes. We went to Monmouth a few times, you know, and then one time it finally, as you can see there, we actually entered her in a 3-year event because she was training so well. We wanted to run her finally in Saratoga. And the 3 of them was rained off, even though she's eligible for the 2 of them. So, I mean, we just wanted to run her. She didn't run nearly as much as we would have liked this year. Sometimes the racing did not go. Sometimes the weather did not help us. You know, she did win a race for us this year. She won a race for us last year. She did get placed in the stakes. That's always nice. More black type, the better. She should sell well considering she's grade 3 place. She just missed it by a nose also in France. She was just a little bit unlucky not to be more in the entry box, which is frustrating, but it's not always, it's not really the filly's fault, to be honest with you. We missed the last one because we had a soundness question mark. And if she's doing well, we'll go for one more. And if we have any question mark or concern, and we'll just skip it and go straight to the sales. It's not always black or white soundness, which not many people understand. There's a little bit of gray, especially when you're dealing with like soft tissue. So one day is okay, one day you're a bit worse, one day you're a bit better. So, you know, when checking legs is important. You feel the difference. You check it every day. And that's why you check it.
Sure.
But she's been okay this filly. She's just a bit unlucky, but she's been good to us. She's amazingly consistent, except for her first start, which actually Don't Look Back at All beat her. Since then, she's always hit the board. You know.
Absolutely. You know, Leonora's Secret is next. This is a 2-year-old New York bred Bernardini filly who was a victim of a very unusual cancellation at Aqueduct on Friday when she was supposed to make her career debut going 2 turns on the turf. She was going to have to overcome that far outside post, and fate intervened, and apparently there was a strong chemical odor from a project to reseal the roof at Aqueduct, and the racing officials on the top floor couldn't do their jobs, and the race card was canceled last minute. Miguel, we're looking at Sunday for the rescheduled race, praying for a better post. We would enter tomorrow. We've received a lot of upbeat reports on her, and what's the word coming from Belmont?
And so first and foremost, she can't have a worse post position this time than last time. So last time we were starting in the parking lot. So by default, it could only be better. And so mixed reviews. They love her at Belmont. The only fear is a lot of the better 2-year-olds are still current at Saratoga. So she's been outworking a lot of lesser 2-year-olds, you know. So she's the best, the one they have at Belmont. They say that, and I do believe it. The question is, you know, how does she stack against it? We'll find out this weekend. She's the best one they have at Belmont, but she's been outworking a lot of slower 2-year-olds there. So she's been working well. We know the pedigree well. We know the breeder well. It was a no-brainer. It's our family that we trained. You know, Therapist is very good. Therapist was a very talented 2-year-old. Not many people realize that, but I think he has made him quite well first time out. Then he won a stakes at Laurel sprinting, and then I think we stretched him out later, and I think he won a stakes going long as well. I mean, she's too. They like her a lot. They're expecting a big performance out of them. Otherwise, they'll be very disappointed. I know that for sure.
So fingers crossed we enter tomorrow with her. You know, we mentioned Kertez winning grade 2 in his U.S. debut. How about Rey? Such a thrill when she stormed home to win the Winter Memories at Aqueduct last month in her first start in America. She has a circle around the grade 2 Valley View Stakes at Keeneland on the 25th. Miguel, she's so exciting. And, you know, you and I got to watch her work in company with another Euro last week. I mean, how have things gone for her since the race?
Yeah, no, she's been great. At some point, see, this was the only, when we watched the replay, Joel terrifies me sometimes. When he went inside there, and then there's thankfully a gap emerged. Thank goodness, because I know she has a great turn of foot. A slightly short turn of foot. It's explosive. So similar to Revolutionnaire, it's not a long turn of foot, but it's a very strong turn of foot, short and explosive. which is exactly what you need in this country. You don't want a long turn of foot, if that makes sense, like a grinder or stayer. You want something a short, sharp turn of foot, to go in and out of holes when gaps emerge. And don't forget, in this country, the stretch is less than a quarter of a mile. So you need it to be short and sharp. She fits the bill 100%. That's why Revolutionnaire, we're so bullish about it, because hopefully they're carbon copies of each other. And she's got an explosive turn of foot. You always have to monitor both front knees. It's nothing new. We've been monitoring that from the first day. We knew about that in Europe. And this will probably be our last race of the year, in our opinion. And who rides it? I've got 2 jocks booked, so we got to figure that one out. A bit of a naughty boy I am. That's okay. And but she's trained great. Every single work has been like between good to great. Every time she works, I get excited, and it doesn't happen often. But when you get excited for work morning, it's probably the thing that excites me the most, except for the races, which is always great for a big race, is the work morning. And I wake up, I get excited for the works. When the race works on the grass, that excites me. There's only 3 or 4 horses whenever I breeze that really excites me, that for me are major. I won't lie to you. It's Farbridge, it's Deterministic, it's Reys on the grass. I mean, when those 3 work on the grass, it excites me. It's something spectacular to watch. She's push button like she's covered up, wait, bring her out the top of the stretch. She explodes in 30 yards, and you just have to grab a hold of her so she doesn't leave the company behind. And they finish like a dream. She works on Thursday. I asked specifically for the grass to be open Thursday because her race comes back on the 25th. And I wanted it to be Wednesday. And they said we had too much rain on Monday. And they said, come back on Friday. I said, no, that's too close to my race at Keeneland. I want it Thursday. And just because of Reys, believe it or not, I'm having the whole turf course at Saratoga open just for her to breeze, a turf special. That's how good I think she is, how meaningful she is to us. Distance limitations, she is distance limited by the fact that I think she's at most a mile. Anything further than a mile, I think she's a little bit too keen. I think you take away from that explosive turn of foot of her, and I think you're just stretching it, just similar to maybe Revolutionnaire. I think a mile, 7/8 to a mile is perfect. They have plenty of speed, these horses. You don't want to take it away from them by slowing them down. And you just need good pace, good trip, switch her off at the back, and she'll come running. Trust me, she's major. I would be very disappointed if we don't have great things to say about her future-wise.
That is exciting. Let's talk about Moment's Notice. This is a 2-year-old that's run 4 times for us, and more than ready, and finished in second twice. He tried the grass on Sunday at Aqueduct and finished 4th. Was a little bit one-paced in the stretch. Miguel, I know this is a horse that's been a little bit of a source of frustration, and speaking with you and your dad this morning, what's your read on the race, and where do you think we go, and what's the plan?
We've been tough on him. Straight from the Tyrrell sales, we gave him a little break, came to us. I think he ran opening week at Saratoga. He hasn't missed a beat. I've been tough on him all the time. Those are his figures he's run. I agree. So let's just look at these figures for a moment. He ran first time out. He did everything right, 5.5. It was a very good debut. I was delighted. I think it's 16 to 1. I don't know why, but he actually ran a very good race. We liked him a lot before his debut. Second time out, he runs a huge figure, going 6 furlongs in the dirt. We probably ran into a very good 2-year-old, unfortunately. Welcome to Saratoga. You just have to draw a line through it. He actually ran a winning race. He did everything right. His third start, for me, I thought he had significant trouble coming out of the gates. He stumbled badly, his second stride coming out. He was way at the back, and then Manny rushed him. He came flying to be right behind the contention. Only thing that slightly upset me is that we lost the second spot. And because we lost the second spot, I decided to do a surface switch, which to this day, him and I were still in disagreement. We're going A, surface, B, distance. The other day, Manny rode him. I thought he was not traveling for the most part, for the better half a mile. And if you look at the chart, it even says there he's 5th by 5.5. And at the wire is 4th, only beaten 2.25. And it says late gain, if you believe in the comments on the right. And for some reason, Manny says he started really running for me, but it was just too late, which doesn't make sense. He's already had 3 runs under his belt. He should be more mature than that. So he's got quality. His works are very good. He's a very good looking horse. I don't know how he's still a maiden. I don't know why he's still a maiden. And truthfully, what surface? I was leaning more towards dirt. Dad thinks he might be more towards turf. Distance, I'm okay sprinting him. Dad's convinced we're running him too short. Manny actually thinks we're running him too short. He should go longer, but he's not sure of surface. So if you ask myself, Manny Franco, or Dad, we all give you 3 different answers, which is not obvious. He's a handy horse. I like him. Trust me. We probably need to give him a little bit of a break. We've been tough on him. We run him 4 times, leave him alone a little bit, bring him back for Florida type of thing. And that's what I was thinking of, maybe going to Florida early. But he's nice. I just don't know what he is yet. But I promise he's got ability. We just have to figure it out because he's too good not to be good, if that makes sense. His races have been too good, and there's more talent that he's showing us in the mornings and in some of his races than he's put together yet so far. That's what, if you look at the figures, it doesn't make sense why he still made him.
Okay. Well, Parnac is next. She's our French import who gave us a thrill back in 2023, winning the Flower Bowl, grade 2. Then she came back and ran second this year in the Glens Falls. And, she's going to sell on day 1 of the Keeneland sale, November 5th. She's out at my Comet now preparing. Just some closing thoughts on Parnac.
So actually, just before this conference call, I had 2 people from France call me about her, asking me how much I think she'll bring in everything. And many people are looking. And funny enough, both said the same. I said, how much do you think she'll bring? And who do you think's live on the filly? And both of them said, I just hope the Japanese don't buy her. So for some reason, the Japanese have been very, very fond of the stallion Sarac. She was a stakes winner in Germany as a 2-year-old. So she won a stakes as a 2-year-old. 3-year-old campaign, I blame us. We made a mistake. We should have never run her over a mile 16. It was for straight 3-year-olds. But what we should have done is we should have run her in the right distance races, the 1.25 miles, even if it was against older horses. We decided to run against straight 3-year-olds. The only option for most of these straight 3-year-olds was a mile 16, or these allowances, which was eligible for. And we didn't get a great momentum. We were a bit unlucky. She was supposed to run in the Christie Cat at Delaware. Christiana, I think is what it's called. And she had an issue, which was stupid. And from that point onwards, we're always playing catch up. And I never quite, she should have ran in the Saratoga Oaks as a 3-year-old filly. And I should have just trusted my gut intuition that she's that good and to go mile 3/8. The logical spot was to run in the allowance in Saratoga, which she ran very well when she ran second. But 3-year-old campaign, that's our fault. We messed it up. The 4-year-old would bring her back. Then she won very impressively. Then she ran a great race in the Robert Dick. She stole the Flower Bowl, which we all know, which was brilliant Dylan Davis at his peak. That was maybe the emergence of Dylan Davis, to be honest. And this is the only French filly by Zarac that I know that if you look at her form, runs poorly when it's soft. It doesn't make sense. They're supposed to love it. She's out of an Irish-French mare that was also racing in Germany. Like, that is as much soft turf influence as you could ever make on one. And she ran a great race in the Glens Falls. I'm convinced if the Flower Bowl's on firm, she had a big chance. She was training very well. And it's annoying. It's every time you run a soft turf, soundness-wise, it gets to her a bit, and she doesn't run as well. So
she definitely was a barn favorite up here. She was one of my favorite fillies that you've ever trained. She just, in a way, she was to me, she was like a filly, French filly or German filly version of Twilight. Just a plain brown wrapper, and just would try so hard. But that not liking the soft turf. I mean, just when it rained that day on the day of the Flower Bowl, I almost cried. It was 2:00 in the afternoon. Sun was out, and next thing you know, it just rained for 3 hours. Like Noah was building an ark. So it was a tough turn. Hey,
she's made over $500,000 that year in the States. I mean, she's been fun for us. She's took us to a lot of big dances, and she just lacked a little bit of luck. My fault in the Sheepshead Bay. She was probably not 100% ready. I own up to it. She ran a blinder in the Glen Falls, and then the weather just annoyed us in the Flower Bowl. It's annoying because she could have had more big Greatest Stakes black type performances if we had a little bit more luck this year. So I think she's just as good this year as she was last year. And the great thing about selling a filly is that when they achieve something as big as the Flower Bowl, that's something on their CV they'll have forever, and that's residual value. And you're going to see that, firsthand, first week of November.
Well, and you're going to see it on that page when you see something. I mean, this isn't the Joe Blow Stakes in Timonium. I mean, this is a filly who has won the Flower Bowl at Saratoga, second in the Glens Falls at Saratoga. I mean, these are Robert Dick Memorial. These are prominent stakes that breeders know. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and really hope that she has a great career as a broodmare going forward, because she was one of our favorites. We're gonna have to pick up the pace a little here, but I want to get into a couple of the horses that are up here in Saratoga with you. And let's start with Rhyton. Rhyton's a New York bred 2-year-old son of Kentharos that we bought last year. And he had his first work this morning in company. And Miguel, what are your early impressions on Rhyton and today's work?
He's very good looking. just keep him going, get going, get him to the races as quickly as you can. He's a New York bred. We're here all year round now. And not I like him. He's still in that picture, he's got a very good hind leg. He still has very much like very good, strong, powerful hind leg. All systems a go. He's sound, he's easy to train. Just get him to the races.
So hopefully he'll be up here for another 3 weeks and then head down to Belmont.
That's pretty much the plan. 3, 4, 5 weeks. I don't know, between Breeders' Cup time. You have Revolutionnaire in Florida. So we have to open pacing then. So I don't know when, but we'll figure it out.
I'm sure Acacia will let you know when it's time to go.
Let's see. If you think I make any of the decisions in my household, you're dreaming.
Hey, let's talk about Slapshot. Slapshot is a 3-year-old gelded son of Nyquist. He's gearing up to make his first start in a few weeks. It's taken a long, long time to get him running, but with several starts and stops, we're getting him close to making the races. You know, he's a horse that you had huge hopes for as a 2-year-old. You know, he trained with Deterministic. I know you thought that much of him. You know, he's in full work mode. Miguel, how have things gone as you've been putting the hammer down the last few weeks? You know, we're talking about this morning, what do you do with a horse like Slapshot, who's tested our patience and has trouble staying sound as far as being the most realistic with his placement? You know, as we get started his career, should we look at a maiden claiming race? You know, what's the best way to get started for him in your mind?
Let's see. He's actually, when he first came to me from Bruce, he created me some havoc the first few days. So we had a bit of a misunderstanding as who's in charge. And then since then, it's been clear sailing. I don't know why, and I'll take that as a victory. He's been very straightforward since then. I think my last work was from the gates. He's up to a half-mile galloping at 5/8, and his works have been improving every week. The whole point of the story is just get him to the races. Let's be a little bit aggressive. You know, he's a 3-year-old in his fall. He's yet to run. And right, what's annoying is because if you look at him physically and the way he moves, there's some serious quality about it. It's just mentally, he's not the most straightforward. And soundness-wise, it's been touch and go for a while. Even now, it's been a little touch and go, which is a shame because the way he moves like a good horse. He does something that not many horses do. When he accelerates, he doesn't take more strides. He actually takes less strides. It's just the strides he takes, the feet per stride he takes is like exorbitant. You know, he'll increase to go up to like 26, 27 feet per stride whenever he accelerates. So he actually doesn't take more strides when you ask him to go quicker. He just lengthens beautifully, which is, you know, it's kind of nice. But anyway, let's get him to the races. He's not far off. I'll make sure of it.
Let's talk about Superpower, our 2-year-old frosted colt out of the graded stakes winning mare Super Espresso. It's fitting because he is truly supersized. He is a big boy, a 2-year-old, and Christoph and Miguel have been mindful of that and taken their time with him. But he's been progressing, and from what I gather, Miguel, he's stepped up nicely as you've tested him more and more over the last few weeks.
He's not meant to be an early 2-year-old. Some are supposed to be 5 furlongs, jump off sharp, short, like moment's notice type. This guy's the polar opposite. The longer, the better. Take your time with him. He's just figuring out. Life's a big game. I mean, like Tonos was like that. So, I mean, it's tough to judge him too much until the fall or the winter of the 2-year-old year. You know, his frame, the longer, the better. You know, he's up to a half mile, no issues. I think it's due to breeze from the gates next week. And that's all good. Just keep going with him. There's quality about it. There's no issues with him. Just he's not early, he's not precocious, and he's not short or sharp. Want to go long.
You know, next up is the Great Chain, our 2-year-old New York bred colt by Lauban. You know, he's logged a handful of work since joining you guys, and it seems like he's making a strong impression. I was talking to Devin this morning, your assistant, and, you know, he is a horse that I'll never forget. Last year, when we had our Ocala event first week in December, right after Thanksgiving, I looked at him and I was like, wow, he didn't look like he changed at all from the sale. And then 3 months later, when we've been back in March, he looked like a totally different horse. And watching him over the last few weeks, and I know we have a lot of local partners up on him, Miguel, he really is coming into his own.
Yeah, no, I agree. He wasn't supposed to breeze when he breezed the first time back. He was supposed to go something slow in the 2-minute lick, and he actually had a bit more gears than we anticipated. No, he's handy. He's handy. I don't know what he is surface-wise. I know Chad won with that Uncle Mo that's a half to him the other day on the grass. I don't know, short, long, surface. I don't know because he does everything quite well, and sometimes that's a good problem to have. If you asked me this question this time last year about deterministic, I don't know if he's short, long, surface. I mean, he's a bit like that.
Do you still know the answer to that?
No, I don't actually. That's a bit of a family discussion, to be honest with you. Thank you for bringing that up. But that's a good sign. It means they're showing athleticism, quality, and means he doesn't, he doesn't sink on anything. Those are signs of good horses where you don't know what distance or where you don't know. There's twofold. It's either because they're useless and you don't know what they are because they seem to be failing at every time you're sprinting them, they're not fast enough, running them long, they don't quite stay. Dirt, they don't quite finish as well, and grass, they don't show a turn of foot. Or flip side, they excel whenever you sprint them on dirt or this, that, the other. He's a more of the latter prop. He's doing well. Every time you bring him on anything, he gives me a positive emotion or feeling anytime you do anything with him, which is always good.
Well, last but not least, on horses that are with you right now, let's talk about Winning Spirit. He has been a bit of an enigma. He's got his next race assignment coming this Saturday in the John Forbes Memorial Stake, going 2 miles at the Far Hills course in New Jersey. This is a major card for steeplechasing, and it gives us a nice opportunity to run at marathon distances on the flat. He's racing as a gelding for the first time, and we made that decision, the ultimate equipment change, based on the assessment that he just wasn't giving his all in his starts and his works. Miguel, you and I've probably spent more time talking about this horse than probably any other in the barn. And, the proof will be in the pudding on Saturday, but that last couple works that you've had up here on the grass in Saratoga, gives us room to be optimistic.
All right, so listen, there's a lot to talk about Winning Spirit. It's not straightforward. So brought him from Europe. I think he ruined a perfect streak. I think of our last 10 European purchases have all done very well. And he ruined the streak, which I take personally, because there's no reason for that. He's sound. He looks very well. And if you
look at the picture, look at the picture on the screen. He's gorgeous.
Yeah, no, he's actually got a great coat at the moment because life's too easy for him, and it really upset me. So he's been training at Payson, straightforward enough, no issues. We got scratched at Keeneland, very much upsets me. Run him at Churchill, there's no running whatsoever. Baffled, all of us. That's fine. I don't quite get it. Bring him back to us. We train him. We run him the stakes at Saratoga. And I didn't like that when he came back after the race, hardly blowing. If you're going to run a mile and 5/8 and you're running poorly, you better be exhausted. He was far from that. If you look at the heart rates, I think he's the third fittest horse in the barn in terms of horses after breeze recover quickly. And I didn't like that because it's not a fitness reason why he ran poorly, and it's not an ability because he has ability and he works well, he looks well. And I took that personally bad. So right after the Saratoga race, I told Dad we're gelding this thing immediately. Dad hates gelding in the middle of the season. I'll tell you why. We've had an issue once gelding a horse in the middle of a racing season. He's always convinced you should do it at a clinic in the winter, time off, let the horse have paddock and everything, and give him a break. I was so upset after the Saratoga race. I gelded him that next morning, went straight to the clinic, gelded it, bring him right back, and kick on with him. Because I felt like he just took the mickey out of all of us. There's no reason why he's not, competing at a higher level. Since then, I've been very tough on the guy, and he's taken it. Very tough. I worked him. If you look at the work pattern, first work on the grass was okay plus to good. Second work was very good. I worked with some good horse like Mondego and all that. I really made him work. He galloped out to like 7/8 to a mile. Then the next work I worked him on dirt. It wasn't a fast work. It was like 15 change. But what you don't know is I think they only posted a half mile. He actually worked 3/4 of a mile galloping out 7/8, and I actually made a double galloping out to get to the mile. Worked that on dirt. So I timed it for this race where I worked him every 6 days up leading to this race. So that his last work will be on Friday, 8 days before the turf race, knowing I'm going to be a bit tougher on him to give him an extra day to recover. And he worked well, which really surprised me. And then in his last work on the grass, touched lazy because he was by himself. But still, when I mean a touch lazy, I got him started to touch slow early on. My girl maybe went to touch slow early on, 13 and change. Nevertheless, 50 flat, 102 and 2. I think he went like 115 flat. And then the next one was like 128 and 2. 7/8 of a mile. He's going to run 2 miles. He's fit. And right after the work, every time he works, I forward to everybody the cardio. So, you've got partners in the horse, and they're saying, how is he, why is he not showing an ability? So it's not he's not showing an ability. He has the ability. Look at the works. If you look at the works, these are spectacular works. They're good works. he's just a notch below my best horses, like the Far Bridge, the Reys, the deterministic works. But in terms of my greatest stakes horses, the other ones, he's working on hard for them. We did the ultimate equipment change, yelled at him. He needs to help me out a little bit. He's very sound. He looks tremendous. And as of today, he's done no running. But in the mornings, I know you were there for some of the works too. I said, Phil makes, I promise you, his works are good. It's just there's no excuse. So we picked a
Well,
chance.
hopefully, yeah, as we come into this race this weekend, it'll be real interesting. I mean, it's a different type atmosphere. It's unlike any other racing atmosphere in the United States. The Far Hills day at the races, and it'll be interesting to see how he reacts and if he's able to put it together. And if not, I know Sean Clancy's going to be trying to put him on a van and keep him down there to make him a steeplechase horse. So he better really get going.
Yeah, actually, several people called me about him already that will be there looking. I hope not. I mean, he needs to help us out though, because he looks great. I promise you, there's no stone unturned. There's no question mark. Fitness, soundness, everything. All systems like go on my side, and we go on the gelding side. He needs to deliver this time.
So we have about 5 horses that will have either been with you or eventually will be with the Clement barn. Late developers who've had some injuries. First of those is a Salamini filly who hasn't made it to you yet. Garden of Grace that we picked up at the Mid-Atlantic sale. Unfortunately, she's had a nagging foot issue that I think we finally got to the bottom of a couple weeks ago, and she's convalescing now, and hopefully, I know she was something that a filly we were hoping to get to you by Saratoga, that a really nice, quick Salamini filly, but maybe we'll get her up to you and be ready for the winter time at Belmont.
I agree. It's exciting. I've yet to see her, but I mean, whenever you join one, it's always it's a no-brainer. It's fun.
Jenny's Angel is the B Jersey filly. I think she was actually the first filly that we bought at the 2-year-old sales this year. She showed a ton of promise this summer, working in company with Anna Skule up at Saratoga, who was a first out winner at the meet. She developed a bit of a tendon injury that we're dealing with down at Fair Hill with Bruce Jackson. I think, when you look at horses like this, because she's a New York bred filly, Miguel, there really isn't any real major push to press on her right yet, because New York turf season won't start till April. Obviously, we'd love to run her at least once before then. But, in the discussions with your dad, these tendon issues, the best shot you have to have long-term success is just give them as much time as possible.
Agreed. The likelihood if it happens in recurrence, our percentage goes way down. So we'll just do the right by them, and usually they help us out. It's that simple. Give her all the time. The works were good at Saratoga. And I worked with Anna Skule, so I thought those were my 2 most advanced and my 2 best 2-year-old New York bred fillies, to be honest. I actually had Irad booked to ride her, and I had Joelle booked for the other one. It's annoying that we didn't get to the races, but it's okay. Just draw a line through it and bring her back.
So our 2-year-old Liam's Map colt out of the mare Sense of War has been getting time down to develop down at Kinsman in Ocala. We actually have a name pending, Bright Line Bullet. So that is a breaking news there. Bright Line Bullet is the name that has been submitted to him. Now, this is a horse that I've been hearing about for about a year now. I know that your dad loved this horse when we picked it up in the fall. And he's just a little bit like Superpower. He's a big, gorgeous horse and this guy's just had a couple of setbacks, and we just recently had another one. But man, you look at him and you know the family, and the upside on him is got to get you excited.
So we had a great year last year with several Liam's Maps. Roses for Deborah, Silver Skillets, and we knew about Deterministic. And this was Dad's favorite. We reached for him, and we bought another Liam's Map, also in the same sale, called Hands of Time. It keeps running second or third in these maidens. Truthfully, I think this was the weapon that Dad was very much excited about, and that's the one we're obsessed by. I need him to join me. I'm a little upset he's not with me yet. He's currently jogging. He's on his way back to galloping, and then he'll come back and join me. Yeah, twice he's supposed to maybe come close to us. Twice he had 2 little setbacks, and it's very annoying. He's physically, if you look at him there, Dad loves him. That's been obsessed by him for a long time, and he needs to join us because he's major, and I think the stallion's major, and he's supposed to be major. And if he's able to be signed and join us, something good could happen.
So hopefully we'll see him down at Payson in the next month or two with you.
Yeah, he's not going to New York in the wintertime. That one. That one's going right to Papa Bear. I know very well where he's going whenever he gets the green lights, you know.
Hey, Nelson Gate is the son of Kitten's Joy, who's also at Kinsman, but not for much longer. It sounds like he's scheduled to join you at Payson in a couple weeks as well.
Correct. I guess him and Revolutionnaire are going to be the first two to open up the place.
Well, I know Jason, who's making his way back home from Saratoga still. He made it as far, I think, as Ocala today. He'll be over there getting some video and some photos for sure. And one other horse I wanted to talk about is Willpowered. Willpowered's a promising New York bred son of War Will. Just when he was in Saratoga, he had about a tendonitis, but God, he made an impression on everybody, didn't he?
Yeah, I like them. I like them. Big, long, beautiful mover. So there's a fundamental difference between having an injury and preventative. And in his case, he had no injury. It's just fully being preventative. If you look at him, that picture doesn't do it justice because he's actually, you need a human next to him to see. He's massive. You know, that's not like to scale. I mean, he's giant. He's my biggest 2-year-old. And by training him on the dirt, a small question mark. His tendons were a bit thicker than I like. He's a big horse. He's a beautiful mover. And he was not an early 2-year-old. He's not like a moment's notice type. He's much more of a later developing 2-year-old. I thought, let's be safe. Let's look after him. And he's with Bruce, and Bruce also took the conservative path. That's why he's not with me yet. And I'm okay with it. He's a big, tall, leggy thing, you know, and those are good. There's nothing wrong with having bigger and better, if that makes sense. And he fits the mold. He's a good mover. He's not like a dopey, tall, and gangly. No. I think he's athletic. I think he was a good mover. And actually, I liked him. I brought him twice in the grass. I liked what I saw. I was just being nice towards him because something ever happened to him and you know about it beforehand, you'll always resent yourself, especially when you check legs every day. That's why you do it. And usually when you notice a little bit of change, immediately those are like little warning signs. You should always listen to it because usually they reward you when you reward and be patient towards them. You know?
No, absolutely. Well, we made it through 26 horses in an hour and 3 minutes. Let's open it up for questions if we can, Jeff Lowe and Aaron, and see if we can answer any questions anybody might have. We really can't thank you enough for taking an hour out of your day, Miguel, to join us. And hopefully your dad's buying and selling over there. And he's had good luck at these New York sales over the years.
Yeah, if you don't tell him this, but he's convinced he's a real New Yorker. You know, now that he's American this year, if you ask him where he's from, he doesn't say France to people. He says, I'm from New York. I'm a New Yorker. But yeah, he thinks he's a real New Yorker now, the guy. Well,
our man Richard Tashton of Carson's Run fame just IM'd us and said that we're not pinch hitters, that you hit a grand slam. So
no, to be honest, the true grand slam is all of you. You know, if it wasn't for all of you, I think West Point had 10 stakes wins with us. It's a great team. They put us in the right position. They get us the right ammunition. And no, we're very, very thankful. I mean, West Point's a big part of the stable. I think you mentioned we have 20-something horses together, which I did not know so many. Had I known so many, I'd probably say, why don't you just make us, you know, your private trainer? I'd be okay with that. But I mean, thank you very much for the whole team.
I brought him hot chocolate this morning. That's why he said that. So
no, you have a lot of the better ones in the barn. I disagree. It's a big deal for us, West Point. It's thanks to all of you and everyone who supports the team.
We want to open it up for questions. Anybody have anything they want to ask? IM us or
Tom?
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Art Roy here. How you doing?
Arthur, how are you?
Good. Hi, Miguel.
How are you doing?
Good. The plans for the Great Chain. Will he be staying in New York this winter, or will he be heading to Florida?
Well, it's tough. I'm not sure what surface he is, but I mean, he's been excelling at everything. As of now, let's keep him in New York, unless he tells us otherwise. But the plan is for him to be here with me for another few more weeks here, and then probably stick in New York, to be honest with you. I know I told you, I think Chad's horse, the half-brother, the 3-year-old, won on the grass the other day, but I'm not sure what surface he is. He's a good problem. Every time I stress him or do something on him, either grass, dirt, gates, anything, he always does it well. So I don't know yet. And that's because I don't think he knows yet. That's a good thing. That's a good problem. He's doing well. He looks well.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Art. Any other questions for Miguel?
So I didn't hear you say anything about sending don't look back at all to the sale. Does that mean that's off the table?
Yes, she is currently, Linda, she is currently going to race next year. That is the plan, and she's
So
nominated.
many happy people, let me tell you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, one more year, one more
Woo!
year, one more year. And the next one, we say that again. One more year.
Yes.
But no, I think obviously when you have these fillies, just to give everybody some background, you nominate these fillies to the sale just as some of them just as to keep your options open in case of injury or in case of change in performance. So as we got closer and the way she's improved this year, it's not like she has a good pedigree, but it's not like she has a pedigree that someone is wants to have to stop racing. And if we were to take her to the sale, I guarantee you we'd be seeing her race next year. I think, and we all would rather that be with us.
Yeah,
Agreed.
me too, strongly. And plus, the win that she did at Saratoga was one of the coolest experiences where I don't think I've seen so many people so happy, and it was special. I mean, she's improving. It was special. It's a great partnership. They all love to run. She's improving 4-year-old type, and Dad was very vocal about one more year, and it's awesome. Forget what happened at Keenan. I'm upset. He's even more upset. The boss.
Your dad said this morning maybe one more race. Rocky Massey just sent us a question. Any idea what race that might be, or?
No, let him train it, figure it out first. See the filly, figure out, is there an explanation why she ran the other day? Because she's so consistent, it doesn't quite make sense. And roll back. There's a stakes race, I believe, at Aqueduct. There's few options, but just worry about the filly first. That's all that matters. The rest will come. She's been very good to us. Stake races will come and go. Just get it right with the filly. She's good enough to get it right with.
Tommy,
Yes, sir. Hi, Sal.
how you doing?
Great. How about you?
Good. That was a question I was going to ask. What race might be available for her, but I just want to say I've been watching these Tuesdays at 2 for a while, and Miguel, this is absolutely the best one I've ever watched. What a great job you've done today, giving us insight into our horses like I've never heard before. I mean, the detail that you've provided on each of the horses is remarkable. It's the kind of thing we love to hear because we can't be there with you. So you bring the horse to us. It's just great.
Thank you, Sal.
Thank you.
Don't get his head too big, though. He's going to want more money.
No, it's more hot chocolates. It's more hot chocolates because it's a bit chilly now in Saratoga. I need more hot chocolates. I'm affordable. Never forget that.
Thank you so much, Sal. It's very kind of you to say.
True.
I see Jeff Silver. You have your hand raised. The question you might have for us?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
no. I just wanted to, thank Miguel. Miguel, thanks for being completely transparent, and you tell it like it is. It's very insightful. Got a lot of information out of this stuff. I mean, sounds like a lot of these horses are doing well. Are we talking about anything about the 1-year-olds, Macleans Music colt, or we don't?
Yeah, he's gone down to Florida, so he's going to be preparing. Just like all the other yearlings, he'll be getting broke, and hopefully we'll be able to see him down at the Ocala Showcase in first week in December.
He's
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about Maclean's Music. I mean, Maclean's Music ran one time at Santa Anita, broke the track record for 6 furlongs, like 108 and something. Maybe it was even faster than that. But so that should be. She should be. That colt should be an early starter. So
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Thanks, Jeff. Cheryl DiCarlo, you have your hand raised.
Yes. Hi, Miguel. Great job. I just wanted to, so she's sound and don't look back at all. She's sound and she came back today, and everything is good with her. We just can't figure out what happened with the Franklin, correct?
Yeah, she came back with a cut right hind. She came back slightly distressed after the race, but it doesn't make sense. There's many things that don't quite make sense. So there's actually something I forgot to tell everybody. she's sound today. She came back to Belmont. She's sound. Dad finishes the New York bred weaning sale thing going on now. He goes back to New York. He's supposed to stay one more day with me, but he's so upset that she's there that he's going back tonight to be with her tomorrow morning. She's sound. She came back very sound. There was one small hiccup before our race, which we never discussed. There was like a pole that crashed. When the pole crashed, I think it took out like one of the power strips at Keeneland. So that's why there's a delay of like an hour. And both our fillies were walking in the receiving barn already before the race. And they've been there for like an hour before the race. And both of mine, I think, were a little bit more wound up than they should have been. And we were wondering, maybe that's the reason why, you know, because they both kind of ran the race a little bit before the race was run. That's the only little variable, because I got a phone call from our assistant who was there saying, listen, both our fillies a bit more on the edge than I like. I'm going to give them their like third bath in the receiving barn. Usually we only give one, but they're sweating a bit and a bit more on the muscle. Now, when you want sprinters, usually they're on the muscle. I mean, like Roses has always been on the muscle, and Don't Look Back at All. She's always like gnawing a little bit. You can see she's like a ticking time bomb in a good way. Maybe they were a little bit past the point of no return by being an hour in the receiving barn, especially those two. That's the only explanation I have. No, maybe it's also the trip. You know, the instructions for Tacitus would be 1, 2, 3. He's got a little phone call with the boss tomorrow morning about his mounts because he's a bit upset, and he needs to help us out because he's riding a ton of blonde this week for us. So, you know, she's at the back. She's never that far back. She's fitted with great tactile speed. What is he doing back there? I don't know. And I don't quite figure it out. The filly's well-being is she's sound. She's got a cut, superficial, big right hind cut. We'll take care of that, not a worry. And just maybe draw a line through it and fix it. I don't know, but there's a reason why she ran poorly. We've not quite identified it yet, but I don't think that takes away from her future or soundness or anything. So that's all that matters, really, big picture-wise.
Just curious, what did Tyler say after the race?
Not much, and we kept to that. Usually when something does not go according to plan, I just ask them 2 questions: breathing well and soundness. Everything else I don't care. Okay. And usually we're a bit of a bad losers. I shouldn't say that. I think it's always more professional to tell them, just watch the replay again. Let's talk later in a few days. And that's the phone call I'm supposed to have with Dad tomorrow. Because I feel like if you notice too many times when, you know, you spend so much work and so much intensity towards a thing, don't forget they're athletes too. They make mistakes as well. Sometimes you're better off having that discussion not right after the race. I think it's much wiser that way. Just go to basics: breathing well, moving well, yes, not leave it at that. If you're upset, I was very upset with the ride, and so was Dad. Yeah. The instructions would be 1, 2, 3, right behind Paco Lopez, just like at the crest. I even told him, please watch back the crest. He said he did. He actually rode in the race, which is true. We said we would love the same cylinder pace center. You know, we're breaking for post 6. You could be right in the pocket following them. The race basically planned out just like we thought. Paco's in front with Futures now, which is not a surprise. And he should have been right behind her tracking her. And instead we're like in the back over there, which was a bit of a joke. But anyway, good things always happen when you're level-headed. You think rationally. You look at the filly's soundness, well-being, and then you make a plan and you talk to Tyler again and figure it out. That's that old trick. Whenever he sees a jock right after the race, you think he doesn't care. No, he's just maybe too upset to talk to them right after the race. So just say moving well and breathing well. Those are the 2 focal points. And we'll talk later. Watch the replay. We always tell them, watch the replay and we'll discuss the race later. Basically means you're in timeout, do your homework, come back to us. You know?
Awesome. Hey, how about last
Thank you.
call? Cheryl, our pleasure. Thank you. Last call. Miguel's been kind enough to give us an hour and 15 minutes. I want to make sure no one gets shut out. Anybody else have a question for Miguel? And if not, we'll wrap this up.
Awesome job.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Miguel, I mean, I can just echo what Sal said. It's, you know, the time and the attention to detail that you give our operation. As somebody who works here in Saratoga with you for 5 to 6 months out of the year on a daily, weekly basis, I can't thank you and your dad and the whole team, Christophe, L'Oreal, Devin, everybody, Perfecto. You have a great team. And for those of you who haven't visited the operation in person, I'll put them up against anybody in the country on attention to detail and things that behind the scenes get taken care of that you never have to worry about as partners. And it's a little bit of a crime that Christophe isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, but I'm hoping in the next year or so for sure.
Well, if you keep giving us horses like the ones we have at the moment, it won't be long at this race, you know? So thank you very much to everyone and the whole team.
We'll get him in eventually. Let's take care of his dad first. Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, and really appreciate it. And I'm sure next week Jeff Lifson will be back and take over his Tuesday at 2 role. But thanks for putting up with me, and Miguel, always a pleasure.
2 pinch hitters.
Let's go Mets.
Yankees. We train for the Steinbrenners. Yankees,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Kinsman.
Yankees. Don't do that to me now.
Okay.